You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? Good morning to you. You know, it's a beautiful morning, Friday morning. I had a special thought come across. You got Paige Bueckers. You got Geno Auriemma. You got the WNBA Clark. And I had to take a moment and try to understand what Geno said. He said this about 4 months ago. It's kind of surprising to me. And, I kind of caught on to it, and I was like, well, what is he saying? What's he trying to do? How's he trying to go about it? And, you got to look at Geno. He's one of the top coaches that's ever been around the game of basketball. I mean, just the first-class act. Gets into himself just a little bit every now and then. And he has a way with words that can surprise you. But nevertheless, it's still Geno. And when you get to know Geno, Geno's going to be Geno no matter what. And Geno had some special things that he wanted to say earlier in the year about Clark. And, you look at it, Clark, what has she done and how Geno predicted it. Folks, I'll tell you something about these college coaches, especially ones who got a lot of national championships under their belt. Man, oh, man, they think they're slicker than a can of oil. I'll repeat, they think they're slicker than a can of oil. I'm not calling them slick. I'm just letting you know they think they're slicker than a can of oil. That's just who they are and what they do and how they go about it. But you know what? When you get on there with Patrick and you're gonna make a statement, and when the statement comes out, folks, you really just have to understand what really is Geno saying and why is Geno saying what he's saying? And
Both
it stumped me. So take a look.
sports-wise and non-sports-wise, right? We are in a red-blue. And if you're red, you can't agree with blue. And if you're blue, you can't agree with red. Whereas most things are in the middle. If you're a college player and you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds.
All right, so let's take a look at that. Let's really just get our hands on Geno, because when I talk about Geno, what is Geno actually saying? How's Geno saying? You know what? It dawned on me, and always remember this. I've been around sports a long time. For any of the youth that are coming out, just starting reporting, always remember this with coaches, especially successful coaches. Okay, here's what the successful coaches will do to you. They're going to tell you something in a press conference, and they mean something completely different. And I was trying to understand Geno. I was like, well, you know what? He's talking about Clark. And you know what? The first thing I went behind, I said, wait a minute. Okay, you got Geno talking about Clark, but Clark beat Geno. Okay, so that kind of negates everything he has to say about Clark, because you had her in a one-on-one matchup, and I figured out what Geno was doing. Geno had a different agenda that he was looking at, and he was kind of putting it together, and how he was trying to do it, folks. Here's what Geno was doing. Geno's talking about Paige Bueckers. Okay, everything that Geno's talking about is about Paige Bueckers. And let me tell you why it's that way, because with Paige Bueckers, here's what the deal is. Here's the way Geno's very influential. He has a lot of power across basketball, a lot of different markets. And here's what he was trying to set the stage. He was trying to set the stage for the UConn player, okay, who everyone, including Geno, is going to have go as the number one pick. Now, you got to keep in mind, who was Geno talking about when he was doing all this? Geno was talking about Clark, okay? And he just kind of went to ripping in on Clark and what she done in the WNBA. All this was a smokescreen for Paige Bueckers. Now, here's what Clark had to do. She had to go along with the program and match the result that Geno was talking about. However, that didn't happen. Okay, so when something like that doesn't happen the way somebody puts it out there, and they're throwing out a narrative, right? They're throwing out a narrative that they believe in is going to be exactly the way this is go down. And that's what Geno was doing, was just throwing out a narrative that he believed this is how this is all going to go down. Doesn't mean it's going to go down that way. That's
I'm
just
being
him saying.
MVP of the
Take a listen.
WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad name. Okay, so the kid was set up for failure right from the beginning. So if you're a WNBA player, and believe me, I've coached the best, and I've pissed them off a lot, and they let me know about it. But they were tremendously disrespected.
Okay, so if you listen to Geno and he's talking about, hey, you know what, I coached the guy. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Diana Taurasi, right? No deal. There's no kidnap. Maya Moore, let's no kid ourselves. Okay, so Geno, what he's doing is he's throwing his weight around, okay, and he's trying to set the table for Paige Bueckers. It's not setting the table for Caitlin because you got two different type of players here, and he's setting the deck because he's protecting his player because he's got a feeling and he wants to direct and guide his player, Paige Bueckers, to go number one of overall pick in the WNBA. Number one overall pick in the WNBA. My, have I got a surprise for you today. Okay, because you were talking about Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark. Those are two different players, okay? And everything that Geno laid out so that Paige Bueckers could have this open window to walk in the WNBA as a cushioned rookie, okay? Not have the pressure put on her. Now, you got to understand something about this. And when Geno's just kind of breaking it down, man, he's got an agenda, okay? And with coaches, you can never always, especially the successful coaches, you cannot let them go to the podium. They will spin you around and they'll drive you around the block and they'll be like a GPS that can't find the location. But what Geno is talking about is
and none of them are going to say it. But human nature is, okay, this kid's coming into the league. And Diana said it best. This kid's in for a rude awakening. And they all jumped over her, but they didn't read the whole thing that she said. But nobody's printing. Diana Taurasi was right. This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie. And if
everything he just talked about, folks, this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. We're bringing you Geno, and we're bringing you Geno for a reason. You know what, Geno laid it out the best he could. Okay, now everything he laid out was absolutely falsehood, was not the truth, wasn't even close to the truth, and you have to ask yourself, how in the world can Geno say something like that, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? She's going to the wrong team. This is the worst team, right? But that's not true, okay? Because Caitlin Clark is sitting over there cherry picking and loving life on the Indiana Fever, okay? This is the deal that Geno brought out, and he wanted to make it like, I'm going to protect Paige Bueckers, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to downright tell the Indiana Fever, you're on the wrong team. Well, we know that's not true, because let me tell you why. One player went in there, and now all of a sudden, okay, you got all of a sudden Geno's, he kind of speaking the same message Cheryl Swoops is speaking. And what is that? Well, you got on a bad team. You're on a bad team, not going to be any good. She's a rookie in the WNBA. Here's the deal that's jumped off and shocked me. Okay, she dropped down to 11th, but when you look at Caitlin Clark's ripping up the league, folks. She's ripping up the league. Ripping up the league. Okay, when I say a player comes in and rips up the league, okay, you got players in the WNBA. Kyrie Irving came in, ripped up the league. We know LeBron ripped up the league. We know Kobe struggled the first year, but then after that, it was lights out, okay? Caitlin Clark has come in here and ripped up the WNBA, okay? And when I say ripped up the WNBA, I mean she shredded the WNBA, okay? There's no doubt about it. She shredded the WNBA. Now, here's the difference between what Caitlin did and all the other players. She shredded the WNBA on national TV, millions of viewers, one by one. Caitlin Clark is taking them down. So when Geno tells me something about a player, that's not his player, okay, because I'll tell you something, when you get these high profilers, you get a Don Staley talks about somebody who is not their player, Okay, and how in the world can you have two of the best coaches in NCAA women's basketball get beat by the same player? Okay, that one there really is shocking. Now, when you get to Geno, like I said, Geno's not a lightweight, he's a heavyweight, okay? So what he's gonna do, you got the unrivaled 3-on-3 league. Who's in the middle of that? Geno. You're gonna get him right in the middle of it, right? Because he's gonna do everything he can to protect his players. Paige Bueckers is one of his players. UConn Paige Bueckers is slotted as the number 1 pick in the WNBA. I repeat, Paige Bueckers is slotted. USA basketball gonna be the top pick in the WNBA. But let me back up because I got some news for you. We're going to go back to the 2023-24 stats. Who leads the board? Caitlin Clark. Who went number 1? Caitlin Clark. Who's right behind? Juju Watkins. Let's go on down and see if we can find it. Because you got to understand, this was the AP Player of the Year. Okay, you got to understand who Paige Bueckers is. She's a UConn player. And the history of UConn basketball, man, that stands second to none. Okay, I mean, don't get me wrong. How is Diana Taurasi going to talk about Paige Bueckers? Okay, is she going to give her the same message? Okay, because this is a UConn player. All right, so you got to understand that, and Taurasi, man, I salute to you. I don't hold nothing against Taurasi because I remember when Taurasi came into the league and what she did for the league and how she did so many camps, was an ambassador. She did what she had to do, and you know what? It's his later time in life. It's a little bit different, but you got to understand when you're dealing with UConn, okay? I repeat, when you're dealing with UConn, okay? And I watch Paige Bueckers, and I'm gonna let you guys in on the number 1 scouting secret that I've utilized over the years, and it's proven time and time again. Okay, you know what I noticed? Paige Bueckers doesn't play with the ball in her hands. Okay, I repeat, Paige Bueckers does not play with the ball in her hands. Okay, if you don't play with the ball in your hands, okay, that's going to be a problem because Caitlin Clark plays with the ball in her hands. You got to understand the difference of that, folks, of a player who plays with the ball in their hands and a player who doesn't play with the ball in their hands. That's a major difference. Paige Bueckers going to go number 1. Okay, she's got the target on her back because they're going to try to duplicate what they did with Caitlin Clark with Paige Bueckers. The only problem is Paige Bueckers is a great basketball player, but she's not a natural basketball player. Natural ball players play with the ball in their hands. Paige Bueckers is going to be asked to do what Caitlin Clark did, that come out and run the point guard spot. If she fades off into the 2-guard spot, I repeat, she fades off in the 2 or the 3 guard, man, that's going to be tough ticket because it's going to be really, really difficult. Great ball player, great, outstanding player. You want to talk about a player that can get up and down the floor and do what she has to do. There's no doubt about it. You want to talk about a coach that knows how to get it done. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, USA basketball, I mean, everything Geno has done, right? And Geno ain't never held back on his opinion, and he's always loved it when he's at the top. Now he's got his player. He's trying to facilitate, okay? He's trying to facilitate for his player into the WNBA. Now, when you do something like that, here's the deal. Man, oh man, she better shine because it's going to be a black eye. And I'm telling you, I can tell you just straight up from the eye test, from the scouting, everything I've seen in basketball over the years, that Paige Bueckers is not better than Caitlin Clark. And that's a long stretch. Here's the deal I saw that I was like, wait a minute, this can't be true, right? So you got a game going down and you got Iowa's playing UConn. Okay, you got the 4th quarter. Okay, you got Paige Bueckers in the 4th quarter, but she doesn't light it up, doesn't even really participate. Paige Bueckers is a player that's played on a good team, as all UConn players have done. Okay, and they're not the center focal piece. So it's going to be really different for Paige Bueckers to do exactly what Caitlin Clark has done in the WNBA. In fact, it's difficult for any player to do what Caitlin Clark has done in the WNBA, coming out of an Iowa, coming out of a school that's not a predominant champion, that hasn't been on the leaderboard the last 30 years. Okay, you want to look at Dawn Staley. She's been in the top spot. Pretty soon there's not enough trophies to fit in the wall. For Geno, he's selling trophies at a yard sale. He's got so many of them. I mean, every time he gets the award, he goes, my, where am I going to put this, right? Because they won so much. But this is a different league. It's a different time. You got basketball players. There's two types, folks, when it comes to scouting. Even when you get ready to get them in the WNBA, you get ready to get them in the NBA. There's two things that they got to be. One, you got to play with the ball with their hands. Two, you got to be a natural player. A natural player just picks up the ball and goes, doesn't even hesitate. He just could play right off it. That's what Kyrie Irving does, and he's slick with it. Chris Paul is one of the best in the business. If you look at it, he's the best in the business. Just a natural player, can operate in the paint wherever he is, right? So Buekers could do all that, but Buekers plays from a wing spot and not with the ball in her hands. So Geno gave the protection. There's 100%. I don't see a problem with Geno giving the protection. You know what? USA basketball, yeah, they're going to pump it. Okay, I think it's going to be completely different in 4 years, because there's no way you're going to tell me these players who are sitting here today that it's going to be their time for 4 years from now to be on the Olympic team. I don't buy that at all, because the upcoming talent is so much better, does so many other things, so many stretch players, and they shoot it better. They're going to be the target's 40% from the three. You got players and teams in the WNBA can't shoot 20%. So here's the deal. It's going to go down. The game is changing, but when you look back at the stats, okay, you got to look at it. The number one pick was Caitlin-Clark. Now, you got Buekers going to play this year. She's going to outbattle Juju. That's yet to see. Because what did Clark do? She played, 34 minutes, averaged 31 points, 10 field goals, took 23 shots a game, 45% from the field. You're taking 23 shots a game and you're shooting 45% from the field. Folks, you got to understand how difficult that is to do. And you go over there and you go to three-point shots and you got, you're making 5 a game, you're attempting 13. You're at a 37.8 clip. I think she's a little less than that. Free throws, 5-8, okay, 86%. Rebounds, you're a couple short off what she did in college, and assists are right on the number of what she's always done. So none of this is new. You know what? And for all the people that say they didn't know that Caitlin-Clark could pass the ball so good, you know what? I think you just didn't watch her in college, because she's making the same passes she made in college in the pros. There's really no difference, okay? But you got another one that's standing over here, wants to be the top of the mountain, Paige Bueckers. Folks, this one's going to get interesting, because if she's the number one pick, they're going to try to duplicate the process they did with Caitlin-Clark. I don't know if that's going to work, and you got the man with the plan, okay? The man that's tapped into the resources, that's put the money together, okay? Remember, you got him in the middle of the unrivaled league, okay? And if he's in the middle of it, he's prepping something, and he's looking in the future of what he can do, okay? And that's just been his style. He's never been a follower. He's always been a leader. He always figured that, you know what, to be in this business, you got to be the best in the business, and that's what Geno believes he is. He just believes I'm the best in the business, right? But when it comes to his players, he's super protective, okay, but he can't protect this one. Paige Bueckers going to have to ride this one out on her own, okay, and when she gets to the WNBA, everything that Geno talked about, he was talking about Paige Bueckers. And that's the way the story runs, and that's what was going on. I had to dig deep on this one and figure out, why would he talk about Caitlin-Clark the way he would? Why would he talk about she's not that good of a player, doesn't have the talent, doesn't have the skill, on a bad team, and disrespecting the rest of the WNBA players? So if that would have worked out, he would have had a cushioned landing for Paige Bueckers. Now, Paige Bueckers is up next. Okay, we're going to get through this. College basketball is going to run its course. And I'm going to tell you right now, whenever I see a player that doesn't play with the ball in their hands, okay, it doesn't matter who you are. It's number one pick in the NBA draft last year, 7'3", 7'4", can play with the ball in his hands, okay? The young man from Gonzaga, 7-footer, plays with the ball in his hands, okay? You got to look at a player And this is something that I learned a long time ago, that when it comes to scouting and talenting out, looking at players, if that player can't play basketball with the ball in their hands, okay, that means they're going to control the game. They're going to have a rude awakening chasing around the court trying to get the ball in their hands, because the WNBA is a different game. Now, she's got all the skills, but they're going to have to move her up to the point guard spot, and that is not a position she's comfortable with. Being the leader to win games, I saw her when Iowa played UConn and Iowa beat UConn. You know what? I saw Paige Bueckers disappear in the fourth, ran a play for her to get the ball, last second of the shot wasn't available. So this is a different game. You got to know what you got to know. But when you get to these players and how they're stacking the deck and what Geno believes about his player, and nobody's questioning Geno. Geno's Geno. He's been that way forever and a day, so you can forget about changing his mind. The only mind he couldn't change was Caitlin-Clark, because Caitlin-Clark danced all over the court and is going to dance him right into the playoffs because she plays with the ball in her hands. Okay, that's the number one aspect of being a natural basketball player. And guess what? Geno said you got a huge target on your back, Paige Bueckers. You're about to start your college season here coming up pretty quickly, and you better enjoy every bit of it, because the WNBA, the Shark Tank, is waiting on you, and we can't wait till you arrive. And you can make it as big as you want, Geno, but it'll never be bigger than Caitlin-Clark as what she has done in the WNBA, and you're looking at it firsthand. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. We try to bring it to you in a different way, and we'll always tell you, okay, it's my opinion, but if it turns to truth, Paige Bueckers, number one pick, trying to duplicate what you did for Caitlin-Clark, you know what? The facts I've given to you a long time before they happened, and I'll put it out there right now. Paige Bueckers, Geno Auriemma will not have the same success that Caitlin-Clark has had in the WNBA. You've heard it from me now. You'll hear it from me again. You'll hear it from me on draft night, and you'll hear it from me next season. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics. Feeling good. It's a beautiful Friday, and I just wanted to drop another nugget. We'll see you soon.